Hi. So I guess this is it, and this is probably the last video that I'm making today. And in this, I'm just going to talk about a couple of, you can call it like pre-exam things to do, or whatever you want to call it. Just you can call it tips or whatever it is that you want to call it, or you can call it like a brief write check. That I'll leave it up to you. But in this video, I'm just going to go over some of the key stuff that you guys need to take care of. If you have been following, I made a similar video to this. Most of the stuff that I'm going to talk about right now is something that I talked about when I made a video for when you guys had the math exam in the mini series. Anyway, so I made a couple of pointers here that I'm going to read out and elaborate on. So, the general stuff remains the same. Do a stationary check. And one thing that I always tell my students is to stay away from extremely negative and extremely, or should I say, overly positive people. You don't want to bring yourself down, or you don't want to feel like you haven't done enough. So, it's best to stay away from that, because what really matters is how well prepared you are for the exam. All right, it's just you who's going to sit in the exam. And when as soon as the exam starts, everything else is just white noise. Okay, so don't pay attention to that. Just focus on your own preparation. And a couple of another important thing that you guys ask a lot is threshold and the difficulty level of the exam. So that's not something you can. That's something I really can't say. I'm sure you all got a taste of that in the mini series. Things just. A lot of the questions in that exam was that's beyond our expectations. Not something we expected. So it's always best to be as well prepared as you are, so that you don't have to count on or rely on the threshold or the difficulty level on the exam. Just focus on your own preparation. There's a famous line from the movie The Dark Knight Rises, by Harvey Dent, who basically plays the guy who basically then turns into Two-Face, and he says that I don't believe in chance, I make my own luck. So that's the philosophy I want you guys to follow. Just make your own luck by working hard. And then by the time I post this video, I think it's going to be 10:30, 11. So at this point, I really hope that you guys aren't going through the process of testing yourself by doing past papers. You really don't want to enter into a state where you start freaking out that you're not well prepared or any of that. So at this point, if you really want to, I know at this point you guys are anxious and you really want to make yourself as productive as possible. So what you can do is you can make a list of all the formulas, make a list of all the derivatives, like what the derivative of sine x is, cos x, tan x, integration, how to differentiate exponential functions, ln, and all of that. Make a list of that, and just keep on going over it. And I posted a couple of PDFs also, one for circular measure, kinematics, and I think for binomial also. I don't remember, I think that was for AS. But anyway, at this point, that's what you should be doing. You should not be testing yourself. That's honestly the last thing that you want to do right now. And then what you can do is you can go over a couple of videos that I made regarding the calculator. How you can find how you can integrate within limits, how you can solve quadratic inequalities and stuff like that. And don't worry too much about the paper pattern also. Paper 1 and paper 2, as you know, is just there to divide the syllabus, right? There's no specific pattern. However, what you can do is you can keep track of the topics that you're tested on tomorrow in paper 1, so you have an idea of what to prepare for paper 2. So for example, if there's a question on circular measure, binomial, you're not going to be tested on these topics again in paper 2. But again, that's for tomorrow. That's not something you should be worried about right now. And then during the exam, just remember to keep track of time. Again, don't look here and there. And if you feel like you're not too well prepared, or you're just anxious, then if you want to bring your confidence level up, then it's always best to start from the questions that you are 100% sure. In fact, take the first 4 or 5 minutes and just go over the questions that you are absolutely 100% sure of. Do those questions first, and then once you've done those questions, your confidence level will go up, and uh, you will attempt the remaining questions with far more confidence than you would have previously. So yeah, that's that. And then keep checking as you go. That's and it's always best to check as you go along rather than reviewing it once you've done the whole paper, because then it just makes hard to do corrections and you kind of lose track of what you were supposed to do in the question. That's that. And a couple of things that you guys need to watch out for: you need to make sure that you utilize the space that you're given effectively. If you're not sure of your if you're working, then you can ask for an extra sheet or use the blank page that you're given at the back. Or you can just do it with pencil. I do not recommend that you do the entire paper with pencil and then take the last 10-15 minutes to pen it out. That's not something I'd recommend. You might lose track of time, and then you might just end up running out of time. That's not something I would recommend. And then if it says to give the answer in exact form or to give the exact value, then remember you have to leave the answer in square root form, or if it's in ln, you have to leave it in ln form, or whatever it is, you do not have to give it in decimal form. So that's something you must remember. And a couple of other things. Final answer is correct to three significant figures. That's given to you at the very beginning. And there's something in Add Maths which is called premature approximation. That's something I'm sure you must have heard from your teachers also. That is, if you worked out a value in part A and you have to use that in part B, so make sure that you, before giving the final answer, write down a value. So normally we give our answer correct to three significant figures, right? So make sure you first write it down correct to at least five significant figures, so that if you have to use that value in the next part, you use that value, the one that's correct to five significant figures, so that you don't end up uh, rounding off prematurely, okay? And you lose marks for that. In math, there was a certain margin of, the examiners are slightly lenient, but in Add Maths, the chances for error are very slim. And then read the instructions carefully. Something you should, needless to say. And then after the exam, as soon as you're done, this is also something I always tell my students. It's always best not to discuss what your paper with anyone. Whatever has happened. Whatever you do, you can't change what has happened. And one thing you should do, however, is you can reach out to me and let me know how your exam went. And lastly, just remember me in your prayers, and of course all the people, your own teachers, your school teachers, whoever helped you out, your friends, whoever helped you out during this whole time. Make sure to remember them in your prayers. And yeah, that's it. I'll have more content for you guys for paper 2, but do let me know the topics that you were tested on in paper 1. So anyway, that's all for this video. See you guys in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye bye.